Can you believe it is week 3? Yeah, that's right. Week 3 of the NFL season. The Waiver Wire show is here. It's Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom. It's the Audible. Let's go.
You got a team, here's a word of the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football. I'm living in a fantasy. Football. Got everybody mad at me. Football. Cause every game I had to win. Football. I gotta be a champion. Football. I'm living in a fantasy.
It is Upgrades, Downgrades, and Waiver Wire Report. It's available at footballguys.com. It is written by our very own Sigmund Bloom, and we're going to start with the quarterbacks. And, let's go over some of the top quarterbacks, Bloom, and just say, you need some help? Daniel Jones is right there for you.
Yeah, and what's fun about this week at quarterback, or maybe not fun if you lost Joe Burrow, or you worry about Jaden Daniels, or you've lost Justin Fields, you're wondering what you have in him, still replacing Brock Purdy. Oh, you see the story emerging here. And not to mention, sees Brock blocking. Yes, that's one of the most fun parts of fantasy football is the strategy of the waiver wire where you're not necessarily in need, but you're going to price and force, maybe even get some assets that you can use. So the quarterback waiver wire is the headline this week. And I think that it starts with Daniel Jones, who may be out there. And if we can always talk about, maybe you can't pick him up, but you can trade for him. I think the Daniel Jones reputation means we're still uncertain. And hey, after 2 weeks, the Saints had the greatest offense ever last year and blah, blah, blah. But just know that Indy has Tennessee, the Rams, Vegas, Arizona, the Chargers, which now it's starting to look like a tough matchup, Tennessee, Pittsburgh. That's what they have through week 9. So Daniel Jones and company can really get rolling. And like Cecil talks about windows, Daniel Jones the lost Joe Burrow. Daniel Jones handles this window while he and this offense is hot. And then we'll worry about a month from now. And then we get to Jake Browning and at Daniel Jones, 25-50%. Jake Browning. And I think there's a story in here too about
Whoop. There's a story in here about New Orleans internet freezing up again. We got you. We're back.
I'm back. I'm hanging on to my vine. I caught the vine just as I was about to fall back into the jungle. And with Jake Browning, he was a top 10 quarterback. Think of him as like a discount Baker Mayfield again. He's going to pull the ball down and run with courage in the red zone. He's going to use the receivers he has in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and let them make plays. And Lord knows this team can't run the ball. So the offense is going to be on Jake Browning's shoulders. Now, Cincinnati has Minnesota this week. That's not easy. Denver, I don't know if that's easy or not. Detroit, maybe Green Bay. I mean, that match, the other thing is with this offensive line, is Jake Browning going to hold up? So I'm not going to I'm going to say err on the side of making sure Jake Browning doesn't go for nothing. But I wouldn't pin my hopes like if you have Joe Burrow and lost him, you just now pivot to Jake Browning. Certainly not with the schedule they have coming up. So those are the two headliners, Cease. When we look down, and what makes it more nuanced at quarterback is there are a lot of names that are probably on your waiver wire in a one quarterback league that are interesting. Sam Darnold coming alive against the Steelers. He has New Orleans this week. So look at it as week by week if you just lost Burrow or if you're replacing Jaden Daniels. Who are we going to start this week? There's a lot of potential names here. Matthew Stafford. Now, a tougher matchup against Philadelphia, but like we're talking about with Jake Browning, just his receivers, just the value that Adams and Nakua add, and Jordan Whittington is coming on there. Tua Tagovailoa comes alive. He's playing Thursday night against Buffalo. Carson Wentz. But you're like, Carson Wentz against Cincinnati. So you can plug Carson Wentz in with J.J. McCarthy going down against Cincinnati. We might be starting every quarterback against Cincinnati. Russell Wilson, he of the 450-yard game. He's facing Kansas City. Maybe a good defense, but, Justin Herbert lit them up in week 1. He might light up a lot of people. I'm not even done yet. Mac Jones might start this week facing Arizona. Marcus Mariota is going to start facing the Raiders. Marcus Mariota looked good in week 18. So still look at the names go on and on. So this is where I would say the larger picture, Cease. Don't panic at quarterback. It's a long season. It's a marathon through a minefield. Let someone else empty their wallet this week, unless it's Daniel Jones. Let someone else empty their wallet. And we're going to cobble this together because there's one thing that you have to remember about the quarterback waiver wire. It doesn't feel like it this week, but usually you don't have a lot of competition. And even with all the competition, you can still look at the names this week and know you're going to get a Carson Wentz or get a Marcus Mariota or get someone that you're at least rubbing two sticks together. Spencer Rattler is another name. Now, this week against Seattle's rough, but he looks like a game competitor. Maybe Tyrod Taylor against Tampa Bay this week. So even if you don't get any of these other names, you can still start somebody and keep going and let a competitor empty their wallet in this panic-filled week 3 waiver wire.
Yeah, good thing you probably don't have many of your league mates starting JJ McCarthy, but if they did, you can go snatch Carson Wentz so they don't get him. Anyone
No.
throwing to Justin Jefferson, even if it's Carson Wentz, like, yeah, you've got help out there. And if you pick up Jake Browning, just make sure you're not penalized for interceptions.
Yes.
That's for sure. Let's move on. It's upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report. It's available at footballguys.com. And everyone wants to know at the running back position, checking feverishly if Cam Scatterboo is there. Well, if not, Trey Benson might be there. Let's talk about these running backs this week.
Yeah. Scatterboo, you have taking over as the game goes on. He can contribute at the goal line. He can contribute as a receiver. Giants can't really run the ball, but you see the vertical passing game coming alive. So hopefully that will loosen things up. And this situation flipped pretty quickly. And it wasn't one. I think this is one where we're going to have to give the star to the folks that just believed in Scatterboo, because the reporting didn't really incline us to think that he was breathing down Tyrone Tracy's neck in training camp. But it only took 2 games for him to take over. This week against Kansas City, we'll see. But he's not an empty the wallet guy. He's not a potential league winner. You mentioned Trey Benson, and then we'll start to step through the running backs. I'll hand it back to you after that, Cease. With Trey Benson, a couple of different things going on. One, he's in on third downs. He's in the 2-minute drill. So that gives you enough value to be a potential flex play. And that's lowering James Conner's value. James Conner also doesn't look as impressive as Benson. I mean, just Benson has more to work with physically in terms of burst and natural power. And at some point, do you, as the Cardinals, think like, okay, do we mix in more Benson? So Benson does have that potential to be a league winner. For dynasty leagues, you especially have to note here, he has checked all the boxes of an every down back. May not happen this year, but eventually he is going to be an every down back. And we'll see how he does against San Francisco this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see how he does there, and we'll continue to watch at the running back position. What do you see? You've got 12 to 25% on Najee Harris here with Rachaad White. Okay, get back in the end zone. That happens. There's Blake Corum, speaking of end zone. So, yeah, a nice healthy chunk of 12 to 25%ers here. Yeah,
there's some running backs here that we know are going to have a role every week. And depending on how things go, always you have the injury upside. But depending on how things go, with Najee Harris, who's going to get the first goal line carry? Marion Hampton fumbles late in the win last night. Najee Harris has that catnip veteran presence. And if he's getting the goal line carries, even though the Chargers running game hasn't been that impressive, Harris, never that impressive, just competent. But if Justin Herbert loosens up running defenses, because, you game plan to slow him and these wide receivers down. Now more's opening up for Harris, where he's maybe a matchup flex play. And, again, injury upside if Hampton goes down. Rachaad White, how much more do you need to know that with one play, basically one rushing play to win the game, they call White's number? That's not an indictment of Bucky Irving. That's just saying they trust both running backs. They like both of their running backs. And it's a great offense that's going to continue to get better. Get ready to get tired of hearing me talk about when, and I know we talk about this stuff in season cease, and sometimes it never happens, but when Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin are back, and Tampa faces the easier part of their schedule, because know that Tampa is going to face Philly and Seattle coming up in week 4 and week 5. Oh, what's wrong with their offense? Well, they faced Philly and Seattle in back-to-back weeks, but things get so much easier. Again, Arizona, New Orleans, Atlanta, that one looks kind of tough. Carolina and Miami. They're finishing up with Carolina and Miami. That would be the 2 worst teams in the league in week 16 and 17. So you want to keep Rachaad White around. He might have been dropped after week 1, just like Najee Harris. Blake Corum is maybe the most interesting running back to talk about on the waiver wire this week, Cease, because he got about 30% of the snaps, and there's talk that that's what they want him to do going forward. He got the touchdown, as we talked about on the recap show. One of his strongest parts of his game is goal line running. It makes sense for him maybe to be the goal line back. And as we're talking about with Connor and Benson, if Corum is just showing more than Williams, is there a time that split changes? This stuff is very fluid and it doesn't change incrementally. It just, a week will go by and coach will decide we're going to try something different. So Blake Corum is one of the best injury upside running backs. First of all, because you also have him attached to this Rams offense that looks good now. But he also, like Benson, has a chance for his value to grow without an injury to Kyron Williams.
Can you believe, I still can't speak English after 20 years of doing this show. Can you believe Jeremy McNichols is still in the league? Fantasy Fellowship says, I'm into Jeremy McNichols in PPR leagues, might slip through the cracks. Yeah, he's been sticking around. He's all-purpose guy. I remember when he had a cup of coffee in Denver.
Yeah. A great story. See, and this is a good moment to bring up the human side of the NFL, because McNichols bounced around. You know, I think that in a fantasy perspective, I'm sure there's some sort of protocol at these software sites, like, hey, if a player hasn't gotten an NFL touch in like 3 years, they wipe them or something like that. Like McNichols was getting to that point. You know, sometimes you'll see names that will remind you, oh, that guy's still on a practice squad. I forgot that he was even still in the league. That was where he was at, and he's rebuilt his career. Where McNichols becomes really interesting for fantasy is if Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt has rookie gaffes that show that he's not capable of being trusted in certain situations. We know that Chris Rodriguez is like a tool in the toolbox that you pull out to basically do like in between the tackles running short yardage. He doesn't have a lot of applications. McNichols does have that every down game. They also signed, I think, Chase Edmonds to the practice squad. And there's a possibility that you just go kind of like Kansas City. And that's the last running back I want to bring up, is a Kansas City running back. That you say, like, well, we're not really going to try to establish the run. And that Swiss Army knife back now becomes a really useful running back in fantasy because of how they can play a role in that offense. And that brings me to Brashard Smith. And this is your 1%er. I mean, I suppose Jaden Blue is a 1%er. I suppose, maybe I should have mentioned Miles Sanders also as a backup to pick up, just because you're picking up the Dallas Cowboys line and they're showing some trust in him, although Cooper Beebe, the center's hurt. But Brashard Smith is one of those situations, Cease, where, okay, he made the team. We know Isaiah Pacheco is starting to fall back from the pack, in a horse race where there's a horse that doesn't even fit on the screen. It's so far behind the pack. That's Isaiah Pacheco in terms of his efficiency right now. We know that Kareem Hunt is in that part of his career where he can hold the line, but he can't add any value to his touches. Why not Brashard Smith? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose by playing Brashard Smith? And I'm excited if they even just please give him a chance against the Giants.
Just give him a chance. We'll see how that goes. Upgrades, downgrades, waiver wire report. It's available at footballguys.com. That's the best way you support the show. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you love this video, we love you. We got wide receivers to talk about. And Andy in our chat room says, thanks for the last bark on Troy Franklin. Yep. We're going to talk about Troy Franklin now, Bloom, because, well, is he taking over? And I will say this, and yes, there's Wan'Dale Robinson, who he probably shouldn't be out there, but whatever. And then Elik Ayumanor, of course, at 10 to 20%. But Franklin, the conversation, I say this with the proper amount of respect that is due. I got Emmanuel Sanders vibes from Troy Franklin. So, Egon Dewey, and he's a buddy of mine, and I love Emmanuel Sanders, but like, man, Troy Franklin was doing a nice Emmanuel Sanders impression. And if you all remember for your fantasy teams, he was in your lineups every week.
Yeah. And what Sanders could have been, Cease, if he didn't have those foot problems early in his career. And that's why, in some ways, he's the one that got away. We talk about the Steelers wide receivers, and Pickens might also be the one that got away.
Yeah.
But he was the one that got away. And Troy Franklin, I think what's interesting to watch here, Cease, is how Marvin Mims, maybe last year, his physical gifts popped, and got more interest. And of course, he had that big game late in the season against Cincinnati. Maybe Troy Franklin has shown more underlying skill to build from as a wide receiver. And now you're seeing that order flip, where there was, I think, more talk. Although there was talk, there's just to pick a time during the Broncos training camp and a different wide receiver was generating buzz, right? But it's Franklin that is carrying over here as Bo Nix is leveling off, his play in week 1. Maybe we shouldn't chalk it up to Tennessee. We should chalk it up to Bo Nix a little struggling out of the gate, but not against Indianapolis, at least getting the ball to Troy Franklin. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't know if the deep passing for the Giants, it might just be the Cowboys, right? I mean, we'll see if Caleb Williams throws for 350 yards this weekend. But in the meantime, Wan'Dale Robinson getting the short targets, but now we heard in the offseason in camp, he's going to be used more as a vertical target. And then we saw him come through as a vertical target in a big moment of the game. So Wan'Dale Robinson, yeah, there's more dimensions. And boy, it looks like the Giants are just going to have to throw all year. And then Alec Aomanor, who maybe is the guy we're going to look back. And while the headline is the quarterback waiver wire, these two guys, Franklin and Aomanor, could be very interesting as the year goes on, because you have a connection brewing here between Cam Ward and Aomanor. We described it in length, one of the plays of the week in week 2, Ward going 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, directing Aomanor and lofting the ball to him. And that kind of chemistry, because that's a big part of Cam Ward's game, or that's one of the places that he shines. If that's his guy, if they're on the same page on those extended plays, this could get really fun for fantasy football really quickly. So Aomanor is a guy that maybe we may look back as the prize of the waiver wire this week, but it also could be Troy Franklin.
Yeah, it also could be Hunter Renfrow or Tyquan Thornton, maybe for just a little bit. Windows again, everybody. Windows. De'Ami Brown has a window here as well. Let's talk the rest of your wide receiver group here.
Yeah, windows for Hunter Renfrow is 2 garbage time touchdowns, and he's that guy. Remember, Adam Thielen was a borderline wide receiver 1 in PPR leagues with Bryce Young when Bryce Young was playing well. Bryce Young's not playing well, but what that means is he has to pass, and with the pressure bearing down, it's Hunter Renfrow. So this is one of those odd situations where a team isn't necessarily playing well, but that's what's creating an opportunity for Hunter Renfrow to get a lot of targets in the short passing game. With Tyquan Thornton, again, Marquise Brown, short-range targets, already limped off the field last week. Juju Smith-Schuster, not even really getting looks. He's on the field a lot, but not getting looks from Patrick Mahomes. It's Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton with the long touchdown. There's another one that Patrick Mahomes, he was open behind the defense, and Mahomes just missed him. And by the way, Kansas City, again, facing the New York Giants this week. So, Cecil, if you pick up Tyquan Thornton, now what happens when Rashee Rice comes back? When Worthy's back out there, who's probably not going to be effective, but that's going to be a monkey wrench. What if they trade for Tyreek Hill? But for now, for this week, windows, you could see Tyquan Thornton really emerge as the top target in this offense. And he gets the kinds of targets that if he can reel in 1, he's a hit. If he reels in 2 deep targets, he's one of the top 3 receivers of the week. That can happen against the Giants this week. That can absolutely happen also when the offense is running through Patrick Mahomes. They face Baltimore, Jacksonville, Detroit, Vegas, Washington. These are games that deep passing game to Tyquan Thornton, if that connection starts to be one that actually makes good things happen for this pass offense where they've been wandering through the desert in the deep passing game, Tyquan Thornton could be that guy, and De'Ami Brown has been that guy. Should have had 2 touchdowns, dropped an easy one. And then you have all this stuff, vibes about Brian Thomas Jr. And it's the wrist. It's not the wrist. It's some people are watching saying it's mental. It's something. It's something, Cease. Every now and then when we watch the NFL, you watch a player and you feel like, did you ever see Deconstructing Harry? I he'd even bring up the name Woody Allen and Woody Allen movies. But, there was a time before we knew more about Woody Allen that I enjoyed some Woody Allen movies. And there's in Deconstructing Harry, Robin Williams is an actor who starts to lose focus. He starts to get fuzzy, like everybody else is in focus, and he's fuzzy, right? And that's kind of what's happening to Brian Thomas Jr. right now. And De'Ami Brown is the guy stepping in and being a more trusted target. So against Houston this week, it might be more difficult, but we're watching this Brian Thomas Jr. story as it connects with Travis Hunter also not making an impact, absolutely, to the value of De'Ami Brown. And even Parker Washington, who I didn't mention, as a half percenter, right. He led the team in receiving yards this week.
I'll just say, Trevor Lawrence, you don't have the cachet to wave off your coach. He's going to be there longer than you are, so get in line.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not a doubt. I cannot believe that Juwan Johnson or Zach Ertz would be on waiver wires or TJ Hawkinson, but here we go, talking tight ends this week. And those three are at the top, and there's not a whole lot after that.
Yeah. Actually, that was an error on my part. TJ Hawkinson's a downgrade. He's supposed to be a drop. Anyway, this is live radio, folks. Juwan Johnson, Zach Ertz, just check. These are in some public leagues, casual leagues, Juwan Johnson getting that touchdown even after having a few extra early drops. Zach Ertz, he's kind of a struggle target as things are tougher for the Washington passing game. As things get tougher, Ertz is going to be providing that reliable target. And he had a touchdown with Marcus Mariota when Mariota played most of Week 18 last year. So that chemistry is something to look to. It was a great weekend last weekend on the waiver wire to look through tight ends. This weekend, I guess Jatavian Sanders would be your 1%er, like Hunter Renfrow, getting a lot of short targets with Carolina in these garbage time game scripts. But yeah, TJ Hawkinson, that's a preview of a segment yet to come.
Yes, a segment yet to come that is almost here, and it is the time of the show where we need you. Now, we need you to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Cecil. He's Sigmund. He's right there. He's in New Orleans. I'm in Colorado, and we're the Audible. We've been doing this for 20 years, and if this next part seems weird, that's just the start. So here we go, everyone. Whether you're in a meeting, whether you're out walking the dog, whether you're mowing your lawn or whatever you're doing out there, it's time to say it with me as we all scream to the heavens. Cue the Chuck D! Sigmund, who are your week 3 shut 'em downs?
Well done, Cecil. The kids still need to know who Chuck D is. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, we saw made some great throws, but coming back to earth against Buffalo. Austin Eckler, that hurts, man. I hope it's not the last time we see him on an NFL field. I really hope not. Braylon Allen, we thought this Jets running game was going to be one of the best in the league. Week 2 looks like one of the worst in the league, and holding the backup running back just doesn't seem that exciting now. I have to drop him for Brashard Smith. Calvin Austin, he was held. He had one downfield catch. I suppose against New England, who's giving up a lot of big completions, maybe you hold on to Austin in a deeper league for one more week, but he's going to be so difficult. That's one of the things, Cease, when I think about shut him down every week, it's like, yes, there are some players that I know will have some spike weeks, but if you can't predict them, does it really even help you to hold them? Does it help when there are players with speculative value growth? But Rashad Bateman is one. Now, again, against Detroit, watch him catch 2 touchdowns. But how are you going to predict when that's going to come again? Demario Douglas, sorry, everyone. I got caught up. 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven is closed. No free slippery for you.
Yeah, it's closed. Juju Smith-Schuster again. At least we're still mentioning Juju Smith-Schuster. Brenton Strange, in a game against Cincinnati, if he doesn't do very much, he's tough to hold. Again, some of these, and I do this in the waiver wire report where I'll say drop for players valued above this in the waiver wire. So it doesn't necessarily drop for everybody, but if some of these more attractive names are out there, Brenton Strange, Mark Andrews. Again, Mark Andrews might catch 2 short touchdowns against the Lions this week. Good luck predicting when that's going to happen again. Soon, we'll be talking about Isaiah Likely on the show. Hunter Henry still getting the snaps, but it was Austin Hooper getting the targets. It's such a good matchup against Miami. If Henry can't come through for us, then I'm not really sure if I'm going to want to hold on to him. It's depth, but there are some players, Cease, just like you, my dear friend, I want to hold on to.
Yes, it's the cosmic dance. Really, it is. It's the cosmic dance. And with the bad must come the good, with the good must come the bad, and it's back and forth, and it's waves, right? Let's get on the wave. Let's get the vibe out there, Bloom. So who are you? Week 3, hold on.
Yeah, and this is important. This is important because there are some players now that we can look at and we can process in context of some matchups that are becoming more defined. I look at a player like Michael Penix, and I want to try to hold on to him. So some of the questions might be, if I have to drop Michael Penix for Jake Browning, and I'm not sure about that because I think that Michael Penix has shown us that in a game against a good offense, in a game where the team's going to ask him to carry the offense, he can do that. He's more than ready and capable. Justin Fields is another one. Now, Justin Fields, I might drop for Jake Browning at this point. If we are looking at, say, a 6-point pass touchdown league, but not in a 4-point pass touchdown league where Fields is going to be more impressive. But the way Fields played in week 2, and Cecil, you can comment on this. I mean, I don't think Aaron Glenn is going to keep playing Justin Fields if he plays the way he played in week 2. Do you think Aaron Glenn is going to let Justin Fields play if he's playing losing football?
No.
I mean, this isn't a situation like JJ McCarthy or something. All right. So that's why I'm, he's maybe a less of a urgent hold than Penix. RJ, just in case the people are wondering, he's RJ Harvey. He's hold on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's, it's coming. Tyrone Tracy's tough because, again, the running game's not there, but he's still a good receiver out of the backfield. And I do think that he's going to remain more of a backup. Like, so would I drop Tyrone Tracy for Blake Corum? I mean, that's the leveling up. I would drop him for Trey Benson. I would drop him for Bashal Tootin, who I didn't even mention Bashal Tootin. He was right there under Trey Benson as the big upside backup who already had a good flex week against Cincinnati behind Travis Etienne. And that's really it. I mean, I think this is a week more, where we're shedding and bringing in new blood than we're waiting around, because 2 weeks is enough to know when it's time to move on.
Yes, that is correct. It is time to wrap up today's program. We will be back on Wednesday and Thursday with our preview shows. They are pre-recorded. And then, of course, Sunday, we are live on the couch this week. Who's on the couch this week, Blue?
Pat Doherty, one of my favorites, going all the way back
Nice.
to good old Roto World days.
Nice. Wow. Nice. Love it. So on the couch, we got Thursday Night Live. We've got Sunday Live for you. DFS show is on our audio channel as well. So make sure you watch that. We appreciate our DFS boys holding it down for years and years and years. We are here for you. It's Football Guys. So check us out. No silly super chats. So just, you want to help the show, you want to give us a tip, then go to footballguys.com. And we appreciate you there. As always, he is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on all the socials at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned and stay frosty.